We share the planet with almost 9 million species. Of these, pollinating insects are arguably the most important for the functioning of terrestrial ecosystems. Up to 75% of the fruit and vegetables we eat depend on their meticulous work, especially that of the honeybee. The function of these efficient and complex beings, however, transcends the human dimension. For millions of years, they have been an indispensable part of the sophisticated mechanism that moves the world. In recent times, climate change, new pests and diseases, deforestation and the abuse of chemical pesticides are drastically reducing their populations across the planet. At least 1/3 are critically endangered. It is our way of interacting with the environment that is causing its collapse. Without the engine that activates life, the balance between the extraordinary web of biological relationships that take place in fields and crops is faltering. Could we survive in a world without pollinators? In the Mediterranean basin, almond trees flower between late January and early February, before any other fruit tree. This fleeting and early blossoming is very profitable for everyone. On the one hand, the insects obtain food. On the other, they are responsible for a process without which it would not be possible to understand life as we know it. We are talking about pollination, no more or less than genetic exchange between plants. While they feed on nectar, pollinators transfer pollen from male flowers to female ones, enabling their fertilization. The resulting fruit will be of better quality, and there will be more of them than if only the wind was involved in transferring pollen. Bees also develop a strict floral fidelity. Once they have focused on one species, they tirelessly fly from one plant to another until they have exploited to the maximum their resources. This makes them a valuable ally for farmers. Putting them by the most appropriate crops at each moment leads to greater productivity. This fruitful relationship between humans and pollinators is, however, increasingly threatened. Deforestation, fires and overuse of chemical pesticides limit and poison their sources of food. In turn, climate change is altering the natural cycles. Hundreds of species are struggling to survive in environments that are suddenly strange to them. All over the planet, millions of hectares are devastated every year by infestations and illnesses that spread rapidly as a result of globalization. It is inevitable. Loss of habitats provokes the disappearance of the fauna that depends on them.
De cada vegada me n'he d'anar més enfora, a llocs més remots, més enfora de la civilització, per poder trobar finques per instal·lar els meus apiaris i on les baies estiguin allunyades de zones agrícoles amb pesticides i plaguicides. Jo quan era petit i anava en el cotxe amb mon pare, pues, sempre veies insectes que quedaven esclafats en el vidre dels cotxes, o t'anava a les faroles quan estaven enceses i sempre veies insectes enrevoltant el llum. Ara això ja no hi ha la gran quantitat d'insectes en el vidre o a la farola, però sí que com a apicultor jo me'n dono compte que quan comença una finca pues sí que jo introduïsc una gran quantitat d'insectes pol·linitzadors.
After the spring equinox, the days get longer and the temperature increases quickly, bringing an extraordinary floral explosion with it. A multicolored blanket covers fields, gardens and paths, even the gloomiest woods. Some species that cover large expanses. Others, however, form real islands, sometimes far from their fellows. The great majority need the help of pollinators. Some of these diners come from nearby meadows. Others can travel hundreds or even thousands of kilometres. Like this migratory butterfly, the red admiral. Plants deploy a real arsenal of chemicals and visual strategies to attract pollinators, and so reproduce efficiently. Once the desired insect has been attracted, the flowers become a trap. When the diner tries to reach the nectaries, stamens loaded with pollen are in the way. The electrostatic charge helps the pollen stick to the insect, who will carry it to another flower, and part of the pollen it has brought with it is left in this flower. Bees remember the location of the most productive flowers. If they do not detect nectar in one, they mark it with pheromones, so that their sisters do not waste time by inspecting it. On the other hand, if a target is suitable, she will tell the others about it. This prickly pear flower is perfect for the interests of the hive, and this worker will tell the rest of them about it. Inside the hive, the messenger shakes her abdomen while walking in a figure-of-8 pattern. With this dance, she shows the colony the precise direction and distance to the food source, and even the amount available there. After receiving the coordinates of the new location, they head out to their target. Orientating themselves by the sun is enough to know the direction to follow. The messenger will carry on spreading the news until she has recruited the right number of colleagues for the nectar she expects to collect. The hive is a dark world where communication is done through physical contact and chemical emissions that the bees detect with their antennae. A bee makes between 10 and 15 journeys a day in search of food. In each expedition, it can visit up to 100 flowers. While they go from one to another, the foraging bees transport the nectar in their crop, where it is combined with their own enzymes. This is where the process of making honey begins. When they reach the hive, they pass it to their younger sisters, who transform the sugars in the nectar through successive digestions. Each link in this peculiar chain adds new enzymes to the extract that they finally deposit in cells. 70% of nectar is moisture. Once dehydrated, it turns into honey. Of the 20,000 species of bee in the world, only 7 produce honey. Now that the surroundings offer abundant resources, the queen is fed approximately every 10 minutes. A court of workers is in charge of supplying her. They are her personal entourage, who make sure she is always protected, cleaned and well fed, so that she can lay eggs uninterruptedly. The queen is the longest-lived member of the hive. She can live from 2 to 5 years. However, she does not govern. She does not have any say in what happens. She spends her existence in darkness, among countless cots to populate. She is another worker in the colony. Once she has been impregnated, she retains the genetic material in her store of sperm throughout her whole life. She can lay up to 2,000 eggs a day. As soon as her productivity falls, she is replaced by another. It has been calculated that 75% of crops for human consumption depend on pollination. These figures are so important that nothing can be left to chance. Although it is of the utmost importance to have appropriate flora in the surrounding area, nowadays, the presence of pollinators is directly fostered. Organic farming promotes the optimal use of natural resources without using harmful chemical products. Therefore, insects play a fundamental role in it. To achieve more tomatoes per vine, the help of a specialist is needed. The flower of the tomato plant has a unique symbiosis with the bumblebee. Their respective evolutions have led both species to a mutual adaptation which integrated farming puts to use. It is already common for plantations to have extra insects. Businesses dedicated to breeding and supplying them exist for this purpose. Intensive organic agriculture is possible, but the simple fact that it is necessary to increase the number of pollinators artificially is proof that something is going wrong. In wild settings, the importance of pollination is, if possible, greater than in crops. Having better fruit in greater quantities has a direct impact on the feeding of insects, reptiles, birds and mammals that consume them. and so it also affects the ones that in turn feed on them. It affects every link in the food chain. The loss of pollinating insects endangers the good functioning of ecosystems, a delicate balance where each species plays a crucial role. All too often, insecticides are misused with the aim of increasing crop yields, specifically to avoid natural pollination. In this way, it is hoped, for example, to keep intact the plantations of modified mandarins, so that they give only seedless fruit. Owing to this indiscriminate spraying, insect populations have fallen by 76% in recent years, and at least 1/3 are at critical risk of extinction. Bees, like the other pollinators, are disappearing at a terrifying rate. The queen is an essential part of this intricate mechanism. It will be her daughters that move the world. The egg she laid 3 days ago has transformed into a larva. Its diet for the next 3 days will comprise royal jelly. Over the next 8 days, the time that its larval stage lasts, each individual will receive around 10,000 visits to be fed with something known as bee pollen, a mixture of pollen and honey. The workers then close the cell with a thin layer of wax that lets air through. "15 days later, having completed the metamorphosis, she will open the cell herself with her mandibles and emerge into the dark world of the hive." hundreds of workers can be born every day. Their first task will be to feed larvae and clean cells. After 21 days, they will go into the outside world for the first time. They will only live for one more month, up to 52 days. Once this time has passed, or they have flown 800 kilometers, they die. The regeneration of the hive is constant. Drones, unlike workers, are born from unfertilized eggs and develop for 24 days in larger cells. They live for around 3 months, collaborating in the manufacture of honey. From 3 weeks of life, they are sexually mature, but they will remain waiting for a new queen to be born. Their mission will be to fertilize her. Spring has involved an explosion in life, multiplying the population of the hives and the number of pollinators in general. It is no coincidence that millions of insect-eating birds come to these latitudes during their breeding migration and stay here to breed, benefiting from the abundant prey. The bee-eater is a good example of this and does not miss its annual appointment. Although they also feed on many other flying insects, it is the main natural predator of bees. The problems its prey suffers from affect it directly. The survival of millions of birds depends on the good health of insect populations. These are the base of the food chain. Natural predators are part of the biological diversity that supports ecosystems. Bees often confront intruders that are much bigger than them. The death's head hawk moth is a migratory moth from Africa that is not interested in the bees when it enters a hive, but rather in stealing their honey. It emits similar pheromones to the queen to go undetected while it is eating. This is a chemical camouflage. Until it stops working and the moth is discovered. Acting as one, the bees surround it to asphyxiate it. To do this, they increase their body temperature. This moth is one of the few insects to make a scream that is audible to human beings. Its terror resounds through the hive. Bees, however, have still not learnt to defend themselves from the attack of other non-native species, and this has catastrophic consequences. A terrible insectivore is spreading across the planet. In regions with a similar climate to its place of origin, like the north of the Iberian Peninsula or Central Europe, its population is out of control. The Vespa velutina or Asian hornet has no natural predator here. It reached the continent at the start of this century and since then has been a growing threat. It is the negative face of globalization. Invasive species also travel with goods. Bees can do little to repel the ferocious attack. One by one, they fall to the continuous pressure of this formidable hunter. The ones that are captured will be dismembered and taken to its nest, where the hornet's larvae will feed on them. The hornet's strategy is like the siege of a medieval castle. It is a real siege from which the bees defend themselves with their usual solidarity. By forming a barrier across the entrance to hive, the wasps cut off their supplies, intercepting any that dare break the blockade. Only a few dare come out, and even fewer manage to return. Without food, the hive will gradually weaken. Soon, they will be easy prey. There is no possible defense. Inevitably, despite the resistance, the hornets sweep away the whole of the colony and hive.
Y la Federación de Apicultores del Principado asegura que Asturias se va a quedar colonizada este verano por la avispa asiática y demanda una mayor dotación económica para hacer frente a esta plaga. Según el secretario de la Federación, los ataques de la vespa velutina van a generar la muerte de muchas colmenas y, consecuentemente, una bajada de la producción apícola.
For many beekeepers, there is no alternative to migration. Gonzalo moves his hives more than 300 kilometers to take them to a greater altitude, in the very heart of a natural reserve, where it seems that the terrible predator has not yet arrived. The electrical fences surrounding the apiary are to keep away the lords of these mountains. We're in the territory of bears, and the plantigrades love honey. But beekeepers prefer to take this risk and trust in their containment measures rather than leave their bees at the mercy of the Asian hornet, against which they can do nothing. In this, his second journey, he has brought more than 40 boxes. He still has 3 round trips until his hives are safe, or that is what he hopes. In the north of Spain alone, more than 100,000 Asian hornet nests are removed every year. Even so, it is estimated that this is not even a quarter of the real population. The damage this hornet causes to apiaries makes visible an impact that is incalculable in the wild, where it devastates many other species. Thanks to an enormous collective effort, Mallorca is the only place where, for the moment, the march of the hornet has been contained. Paradoxically, the high temperatures that have caused so many problems for the bees have been a decisive factor.
Jo les baies me piquen cada dia, més poc o més molt, cada dia rep qualque picada. El que passa que les baies no tenen cap interès en picar els humans. Les baies tenen interès en les flors, en el pol·len i en el nèctar. Cada any és més difícil. S'ajunten moltes circumstàncies, canvi climàtic, pèrdua de floracions silvestres, hiverns molt calorosos, pluges torrencials, malalties noves. Fins fa unes setmanes estàvem xerrant que Mallorca patia una sequera extrema. Ara veurem si aquesta setmana acaba plovent, però si no, les produccions seran molt, molt petites, i més amb apicultura ecològica, que has de seguir els cicles de la natura. Si no plou, no produeixes mel.
In these days, the workers have decided that there are sufficient resources for the hive to reproduce. As this is a superorganism, it is no surprise that reproduction does not refer to new individuals, but to the creation of a new colony. The most important process that can happen in the community has started. A new queen must be born to lead the group. Although several queens are developed simultaneously, only one will prosper. If all goes well, she will hatch in 16 days. It is not hard to guess what would happen if the new queen was not born. Hainan County is located in the center of southern China. It has a similar area to Mallorca, but they are very different. Hardly any pollinators remain there. Given the continued abuse of chemical pesticides, insecticides and herbicides, almost all forms of wildlife have been exterminated in favor of short-term benefits. The absence of insects obliged local farmers to come up with something themselves. Their crops were less and less productive, and, albeit late, they realized what the problem was. They have not stopped using practices that are harmful for the environment, but they have found another solution that is separate from nature. For several years now, they have been pollinating their fruit trees themselves, by hand. First, they collect the male flowers and carefully separate the stamens. Then, using a ball of cotton and feathers tied to the end of a stick, they fertilize the female flowers, flower by flower, tree by tree. Their work covers hundreds of hectares of crops. They make it work for now, but it is only a temporary solution to a problem of unimaginable proportions. The collapse of our way of life is a real and ever closer problem. Back in Mallorca, the queen is about to emerge. After 4 days in the pupa stage, she has completed her metamorphosis and is helped to come out by a group of eager nurses. The birth of a young queen provokes the expulsion of the old queen, who must now create her own retinue. Swarms involve the natural division of the hive. They are the start of a new colony. A selection of the most capable workers and drones gathers around the exiled queen. They have to be capable because the challenge is extraordinary. They will build a colony from zero. They form a compact mass while awaiting the return of the explorers who've gone off in search of the new site, preferably between rocks or in the folds of a tree trunk. This would be the perfect moment for the beekeeper to collect them and put them in a new hive. Despite the efforts of beekeepers, honey production is falling alarmingly all over the world. The effort that professionals like Martí and Gonzalo put into caring for and correctly locating the apiaries has no reward. This last season, they have collected less than half of what they collected last year, and this is serious, because the importance of bees goes beyond the honey we eat. They are a visible reflection of what is happening in wild settings, and they are sounding the alarm. If the amazing mechanism that moves the world is to carry on working, it is vital that pollinators survive. We can only hope that we quickly come to understand the reach of our actions and change how we interact with the environment.